Hey everybody, Andrea, welcome back. I recently wrote a blog post on my personal blog about 5 international entrepreneurs who I highly respect, role model and follow on social media. I've learned a lot about these guys or from these guys over the last few years, especially the last 3 years, and I just thought I'd share them with you. Maybe you know some of them, they are quite popular, maybe you don't. So the first one is Anthony Robbins. Tony is an amazing motivational speaker, but he's actually a physical performance coach. So he talks a lot and teaches a lot about why we do certain things. He focuses a lot on the why, because if you can understand why you do certain things, it all pretty much opens up. So he believes that we are motivated by only 2 things, which is either to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. So whatever we do, Tony believes that we always do what we do to either avoid pain or to gain pleasure. And I absolutely 100% agree with that. I think you can learn a lot from Tony. I read his first book, Awaken the Giant, within pretty much almost a decade ago, and it really transformed the way I think about certain things. He speaks about your words, your body language, your posture, how those types of things, your physical performance. He talks about the power of the brain and how all of that can influence your performance as a young business person, or even just in life in general. So I highly recommend that you give Tony a follow. Okay, just check out his blog and even read some of his books. The second person is Robert Kiyosaki, who is famously known for the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was his first book. He has single-handedly changed the way I think about money and investing. I resonated with Robert very early on. From the first book, I've gone to read almost all of his books, and I've attended some of his seminars in Johannesburg. I think he's an amazing teacher. He genuinely cares about people, and like I said, he single-handedly changed the way I think about money and investing. Definitely highly recommend that you give him a follow. I would seriously recommend that you read all of his books, starting with Rich Dad Poor Dad, attend his seminars, his workshops. Yes, there are free introductory workshops in which you will need to pay for. If you're serious about your growth and development, obviously you'll go ahead and invest in yourself. And just on Robert, I think one of his books that I recommend if you're starting out is Before You Quit Your Job. That's the title of his book. I think it was his 3rd or his 4th book in his Rich Dad series. I highly recommend that you read that book. The third person that I recommend is Timothy Ferriss. The first book I read on Timothy Ferriss is The 4-Hour Workweek. Timothy specializes a lot in performance and ergonomics, which is finding an easy way to do things, and kind of doing things in systems. So I read The 4-Hour Workweek, and it was an eye-opener for me. That's the book that inspired me to start online companies. Not that I've done that yet. I mean, I've sold things online, but I am working on a project now where I'll implement some of the principles that I learned through Timothy Ferriss. Go ahead and give that man a follow. Brilliant entrepreneur. The way he thinks, he's always looking for smarter ways to do things, which is what an entrepreneur should be doing. Okay. The 4th person is Tom Hopkins. Tom Hopkins, I read his book, How to Master the Art of Selling. It's probably the greatest book on selling I have ever read. I've read quite a few books on selling, including those from Brian Tracy. Tom speaks about, he pretty much takes selling into a science. A lot of what we think is selling is actually wrong. So I highly recommend that you follow Tom Hopkins and definitely read How to Master the Art of Selling. Because as an entrepreneur, your number 1 skill should be having the ability to sell. And selling is not knocking necessarily on doors or selling things online, but it's actually getting your point across or getting the buy-in of people, because you're going to be working with people when you're in business, whether you're doing direct selling or not, whether you're selling online or not. It's the power of words and influencing people. So yeah, again, highly recommend that you read that book. And the 5th, last but not least, Gary Vaynerchuk. I think Gary's influenced me over the last year and a half more than anyone else. I've learned more from Gary, and it's just following him. I don't know him personally, just following him on social media, on Twitter, Facebook. I love listening to he's got a daily vlog that's out, and also his famous show Ask Gary V. So I came across him about 3 years ago and seriously started to just really listen to him about a year, 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. Gary has taught me what social media is all about. Gary's taught me about actually caring about your audience, which is why I'm doing all of this. It takes a lot of time. I can't write and spell for shit, but I genuinely want to help people who are in my situation, who want to learn how to build companies. I want to document, like I've said in my blog, my journey. And Gary was the one who put that in perspective to me. You know, it's about giving value. You know, you're always on Twitter, when people follow you, they send you those DMs. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, and they immediately ask you for something. They don't even know you. They haven't said hi, how's it going, where you from, what do you do. They just ask you for something, and that is not the way to go if you want to be selling or in business, and if you want to sell things online. So, you know, Gary's taught me a lot. He's got a very high work ethic. He speaks a lot about passion. You know, you have to love what you do. You've got no excuse not to love what you do. And you know, he talks a lot about self-awareness, which is critically important, because a lot of us think that, you know, we want to go into business and it's easy to be entrepreneurs. I don't agree with absolutely everything he says, but a lot of what he says is true. And I mean, his results speak for himself. He's got one of the biggest digital marketing agencies or marketing agencies in the world. So yeah, definitely give Gary a follow. You can learn a lot from him. Those are the top 5 guys right now that, you know, who really inspired me a lot. Obviously there are others which I'll share again in the video, but you know, give them, you know, take a look and you know, give them a follow. Maybe some of them will resonate with you, maybe they won't, because we're all different in different journeys. We have different values, personalities. So some people you'll click with, others you won't, and that's okay. But yeah, those are the guys that I really admire and respect and follow. So I hope that you can get some value and as much value as I got from them. Cheers, and thanks for watching.